Why don't you start with something you've been having a hard time with lately?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm having kind of a hard time making friends.
Dear God, Debbie, you're not gonna believe what happened this week.
3 ways to mess with your therapist. First one, start the session with, well, I did exactly what you told me to do. And watch your therapist have an internal freak out trying to rack their brain about what they told you to do last week. Guarantee they'll respond with, and what did I tell you to do? And then you say, all concerned, wait, you don't remember? Good times. Second one, next time they ask about someone in your life and they use their name, make them think they're using the wrong name. So if they're like, is Andrea being a good support for you? Be like, who's Andrea? Which will make your therapist think Andrea is connected to a different client and our worst fear is coming true, that we've confused your people with the people of another client. Genuinely horrible feeling. Third one, start your next session with, I was on TikTok watching Therapy Jeff. Do you know who Therapy Jeff is? They know who I am. And go on to say, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he really gets me, like I'm getting a lot out of his content. So I'm gonna probably take a break with you and just follow his account. Watch them squirm, watch them try to be inquisitive and completely appalled at the same time. You're welcome.
But it's okay because I can do this. No, that doesn't help at all. That just puts me back again. But it's all right because I can do this. Yeah, that's disappointing as well.
How you getting on?
I'm doing really well.
Speaking of emotional dysregulation, this chart that shows, it's basically you have to do this before you do this, before you do this. So you have to meet all of your sensory needs before you can meet your physiology needs, which you meet your basic processes, higher level, blah, blah, blah. So do you want to know where regulation is? When you talk about dysregulation with, either autism or ADHD, regulation, physiology and regulation right there. It's in the orange. You see all these other colors in the rainbow? You want to know what all that is? That's all the executive and higher level things. So when we're dysregulated, that's all there is. We just stop. We can't go any higher. It takes up all the memory in our computer. So
struggling with anger is fairly common for autistic people, okay? The scale represents the intensity of your emotions, and when you start getting up around like a 5 or a 6, that's when you start acting irritable. This is overly simplistic. I just want to help you understand and recognize when you start getting up around a 5 or a 6. Right. Being autistic doesn't mean that I don't recognize emotions. For me, it means that almost everything aggravates me in some way. That's why I think it would be good for you to understand the scale. This is geared towards like kindergartners. Do I struggle with anger at times? Do I want to work on it? Absolutely. But I need something that's like for PhD students. I think you're not quite understanding how the scale can help. No, I understand it so well that my model has 3. Tell you what, I'm going to show you my model, and then we'll go from there. Fine. These are boilers. Tank 1's connected to Tank 2, Tank 2 is connected to Tank 3. There's a valve in between each one of them, so I can control how much steam travels between them. What do the tanks represent? The first one is what my body's experiencing. The second one is what I'm feeling, and then the third one is what I'm showing externally. How is what your body's experiencing different from what you're feeling? This is physiological. I'm aware of it, but it's like data, and it's usually about the same pressure as what I'm feeling, but that's more emotional. Oh. So as the pressure comes into Tank 1, it's usually working in tandem with Tank 2 to release the pressure at a pretty steady pace, as in I feel my emotions and they dissipate naturally. And this is like 90% of the time, but sometimes the pressure builds faster than those 2 tanks can release it. And that's when you show it externally. No, I just increase how fast I can release pressure by like stimming or getting a break from the stimulus. And that's the other like 9.999% of the time. Usually, the only time that I change the pressure in Tank 1, what you see externally, is when the situation calls for me to appear more agitated. 3 tanks, just for the sake of complexity, doesn't make it better. Sometimes I'm in places where I can't stim, like an airplane with 2 kids. So as that pressure is building, as it gets up to be around like a 6 or a 7, I cut off Tank 2. I'm going to hold the pressure in Tank 1, and I can tell that I'm getting more agitated, but I'm not allowing myself to feel it, and that's to keep it from spilling over into tank 3. So that's what we should work on. You know, just because I'm aware of a situation does not mean that it happens a lot. I find ways to limp along until I can get a break and take care of myself. The problem is when the pressure is building, I have it under control, but then I'm caught off guard. Like when a few big things happen in a short amount of time, and I'm not able to tighten the valve between tanks 1 and 2, so it spills over into 2 and then into 3, and that's usually when I snip. Well, I think, well, hold on, that's fine, because I'm very quick to apologize and recalibrate, and it doesn't happen often. The real big problem is when I'm holding that pressure in and like a few big things happen or something really big happens, like my kid screaming in an enclosed space where pressure skyrockets in tank 1 past its capacity, spills over into 2, then spills over into 3, and that's when I shout. That's when I have a hard time recalibrating. And it doesn't happen often, like nowhere near like it used to, but I want it to never happen. So that's where I'd like to start. Can we focus on that? I just don't care for the 3 tank thing. 1 is so much easier to understand.
Who? Me? No, I don't think that's me. I think you probably saw that in a movie. But I would never say that. I know this because it's something I would never say. No, of course I'm not calling you a liar. I just didn't realize you were delusional. Seems like you're writing quite the story there. Well, I think I would remember that.
No, I'm not saying a word. No, I'm not. Zip. Won't hear anything out of me. No, I know when I'm not wanted. No, oh, Mum, you're always wrong. No, that's it. Well, I won't be saying anything anymore. Everything I do and say is wrong, apparently. So, no, I just won't say anything. I won't do anything. I won't go anywhere. I won't think anything. I'll just be plain old Mum. No, gets me in too much trouble. I'm not saying anything anymore. I'm not saying anything to Kiani. I will say hello. I will say good afternoon to Dr. Watson. I will do my work. I will mind my business. So everything I think and do and say is wrong, and I'm an idiot and I'm stupid and I don't know anything. And, yep, no. That frangipanis about to flower. Oh, that's probably better not even say that. Zip. Boop.
Always off building them like his experiences that he'll all miss. So I might as well keep my distance.
Maybe the next stage in your healing journey is just running around calling people cunts.
Toxic family systems tend to only see their children as like cardboard cutouts of who they are, meaning that they only see us as the role that we played in the family or the role that they put us in. And when you start to do some healing work and you start to speak the truth about what happened, or you set boundaries, or you start to go no contact, or you really start to change, you get pushback around, why aren't you that cardboard cutout anymore? And it'll sound like this. It'll like, we used to have amazing conversations. We used to be so close. I don't know what happened to us. Now you're all moody. Or you might hear, oh, I can't believe you don't support Mom anymore financially. You used to really get how much she struggles and it used to be no problem for you, but what changed, you know? Or you might kind of hear simply like, used to be so easy and chill and sweet, and then this therapy stuff just made you all crazy. And the real mind F of all that is we start to see the way that they double down is that the family never really knew you to begin with. They only saw you in that role that served them.
Good evening. Tonight's top story, everything is awful.